Hey guys, Steve again. Now, this is part 3 of the Festool saw sword. Oh, it's like tongue twister. Okay, so I've done probably the ultimate test of this thing as to can it do it. And yeah, it did. Well, it's a chainsaw, and I kind of have to. I've had to learn to accept that. It's not a tungsten tip, highly polished cut like normal. But you know, it did what I wanted it to do, and that is great. It's a bit tricky. You forget. I'll turn this around. You can forget about the dust collection. It's useless, absolutely useless. The thing clogs up. The pipe up here ends up clogging up really bad, and it's just pointless. Yeah, it's just simply pointless. Now, here's the finish of the edge. Okay, it's pretty ratty. I accept that. This is a very splintery timber. This is Vic Ash. Vic Ash is traditionally a very splintery timber. You can see by the grain. And over here, it's even worse. Now, people talked from my side of putting on sacrificial boards and things like that. And okay, well, I will experiment with that a little bit later. But however, if I cut the end off, like I've done here, I just cut that off on my Capex saw because this is less than 300 wide. And it gives a beautiful edge. Plus, you need a little bit of a thickness to the edge there. Otherwise, it's too sharp. So I'll turn it over. We'll see here. So this is what it turned out like. So you got the 60 degrees on either end and either side. By the way, it's I managed to screw a sacrificial board down on here to allow me to clamp it on the table to have it cantilevered, because this is the whole thing. It's a matter of holding it while I'm cutting 60 degrees, which is a hell of a degree to cut. So when I cut on the, this edge is not even cut. This is just slightly sanded. So if I come up to here where the edge is cut, you know, the edge is good. Now all I need to do is I'm going to run this edge through my planer, through the jointer, and I actually really like this texture. Look, you know, you can sort of see the texture. Let's run my fingers on it. It's really good. And if I run with the grain, it's ripply, but it's actually, it's not rough. You know, it's a strange sort of cut, but I kind of like the cut. And I think I just run a bit of a sandpaper over it. There's an interesting quality with the actual cut. Now here I've sanded it really started to be quite smooth. There's still some indents because it's heavily indented, as you can imagine, from the chainsaw. But you know, there's something in that. Now this is a sample piece that I'm going to do for a top of a hall table. So this hall table will sit sort of from a central thing. So it has a really nice, sleek, almost Japanese look to it. Especially with the wife's washing in the background. You know, when you come to my workshop, you really come and do, you know, Steve's shed, because let me tell you, it's the wife's washing. It's all that, certainly no slick stuff, but it's all about tools. It's all about, you know, what tools can do. Can they do this? That's what I'm sort of on about. Now, I call it Steve's Festool Shed Talk, but, you know, I have other tools other than obviously Festool, but I do have a fair bit of Festool stuff, and I thought this would be also a way of showing you another Festool product and how you might want it to sort of work for you. Now, I really pushed it. That 60-degree cut, it was a hell of a cut. It kind of got through it. I used the fine blade. I think maybe I should use the coarse blade. I think when I run with the grain, pretty much like the same principles of when you're ripping a bit of board on a table, you tend to use basically a less tooth situation. Anyway, I'm going to clean it up now, and I'll show you guys when it's finished cleaned up. But I think it's successful. It's not as good as I hoped it was going to be, but then I don't know what I wanted it. I don't know what I expected it was going to be, seeing as it is a chainsaw. 90-degree cuts and all that, that's fine. I'm going to work on, I think it'll be good for interesting cutting slots into things, or in particular, if I come over here to my timber supply. Now these are some burls that I've got, sort of nice thick burls. There's some burls hidden over the back there. Now, if you wanted to cut into them, that's going to be a whoops. That'll be a different situation, because when you're cutting into a burl like that, the grain is actually running up and down, not crossways. So you're sort of cutting up with the grain. So I think I'll probably get a better cut from that as a result. And I'm going to do some tests later on, and I'll post these up because nobody's really done anything on this saw. As I said before, the only thing I've seen is one guy cut the end of a slab off, okay, and didn't even, and he doesn't even talk in it. And the only other one is the Festool video, which is just, promotional, everything's. And then there's a few from the fella from England, who's from the Festool guy, and he just talks about, he just chops some beams off. And, well, I would have expected it would have done that, even a chainsaw could do that. But it's a matter of working with the rail. Now, I found it clears the sacrificial edge, so that really offers no, no support to the timber whatsoever. So forget about that, because the chain is actually away from that. In fact, you could use the rail without the plastic sacrificial edge. It's just a way of guiding the saw in a straight line and keeping control. You can't deal with this this saw one-handed. You really need to hang on to it with two hands. It's a bit of a beast, and it cuts off instantly when you let go of the two trigger system, which is great. So safety-wise, it's sort of a dangerous saw by nature, but when you let go of the trigger, bang, the chain stops. So you'll probably find yourself in less trouble than had the chainsaw keep continuing. So yeah, look, I think I can do certain things with it in the future, and it's quite exciting. I mean, you're getting to, and I'll flick the camera around again. And if I come around here, you got some interesting scraps, and I'll come into my little messy work, my supply shop. Now look at this, and that's pretty cool, I mean, this is about, from there to there is about 100 mil. Now, try and doing that on a regular saw, and at this 60 degrees, this sort of very high slope. Yeah, it's a 60. Well, that'd be a 90 degree. No, that'd be what the hell. It's really good. And that's a very unique thing. And if you're making some unique pieces of furniture, I reckon you could use this saw. It's not cheap. It's a bit of an extravagant, but is it an extravagance? The point about it is, if it can do what you want it to do, and you sell one table, that'll pay for the saw. You won't make any profit on it for yourself personally, but the profits you'll have made from making some sort of bespoke table or whatever will pay for it in one hit. So for them there on, it owes you nothing. So on that note, I believe I'll keep the saw because I sort of think, whilst I won't use it all the time, every time, I do have it when I want it or when I need it, or when the design I do has a relevance to doing something that normally would be extremely difficult to do any other traditional method. So on that note, save your bickies. Give me the thumbs up or the thumbs down, whatever you like, whatever makes you happy. All I'm trying to do is maybe show you a little. Now, you haven't seen me demonstrate it because it's no real big deal to demonstrate, I mean, it slides along the track. You've seen the results. It's the results that you see. There's like me sort of getting a rip saw and ripping along the thing and say, hey, this is how you saw it. Well, there's no thing there. And if you watch some of those other videos, I show them running along the saw guide. That's all it does. It's sort of well set up. Make sure when you first get it, if you buy one, the oil reservoir is empty, and you can't use the saw without the oil, so you better put the oil in. So that's just a little bit of a tip that nobody really sort of tells you about. So from that note, thanks guys for watching and being interested in watching this. And any questions, please give me a yell. I will be doing some further stuff on it because I want to explore it even a little bit more and what it can do. I can see other interesting ways of cutting straight into a very large thick piece of timber where you want to sort of check out something. So I think there's some, but it is difficult to do incredibly accurate because I've got to play with that a little bit more. It shows you the increments where it sort of finishes, but it's very hard to see where it's sort of cutting. So I'll play with that and see if I can come up with some solutions there and pass that on. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. See ya.